Hola,
Bonjour,
ni hao,
moi,
guten tag,
hello.
or bula if you're from Fiji. Whatever way you want to say it, welcome to the Double Trouble podcast with Oliver and James Phelps. Today we have got a very, very good guest for you guys. It may not be as billed originally, but bear with us because there's a booking issue going on there. Say booking, we're doing it next week now. But anyway, so for your lovely enjoyment, our great mate, Luke Younglood.
Yes, you may know Luke, who played Lee Jordan in the Harry Potter films. He's gone on to be in so many things, it's hard to list. He's a man who is the most coolest guy you could ever wish to meet. He's the funniest guy you could ever wish to meet. He's probably the best looking guy you could ever wish to meet. He has the body of a god. He can dance, he can sing, he can design stuff, he can act, he can do everything. And top it all off, he's a really, really nice guy.
He is, so he's just like me, really. But the amazing thing is, though, that we've actually had to cut this down quite a bit because, believe it or not, we were talking for over 2.5 hours. So we may be releasing another part with the outtakes, shall we say, or just the bits what ended up on the floor.
Yeah, maybe some things were left out to protect the innocent. But like, what we need to probably make clear straight away is that Luke is one of our best friends in the entire world. We're very lucky that many moons ago, on the first Harry Potter film, we were introduced to Luke, who went on to be Lee Jordan, who was obviously Fred and George's best mate, and he turned out in real life to be James and Oliver's best mate. So we're very, very lucky. Luke actually read a verse for my wedding. He was one of the top guys on Oliver's stag do, so we are very, very good friends. But like with Bonnie, we were asking questions which we've never asked our friends before. So I never learned of his whole audition process to get in the Potters originally. So that was really cool for us to learn.
It was indeed. So we really hope that you guys are going to enjoy listening and learning and hopefully smiling as well, because we had a good time smiling doing this as well. So anyway, James, I want to ask you some things, if that's okay.
Go on.
Tu habla español?
No.
Okay, so no Spanish lessons today.
I would love to carry on my effort to learn Spanish, but I just can't get. I'm at that point, you are knocking on the door and you need to just break through. That's what I'm on at the moment with my Spanish. So I know one day very soon it is going to click. What would really, really help me out is if we would stop having this fantastic weather here in England right now, because it's so good. I've been in my garden almost every day. I've been running every day. I've been just and golf, obviously, whilst keeping my social distance from everybody. But once I'm able just to chill, that is on my to-do list.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little phrase you can use. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mi telescopio es bonita.
What does that mean?
It means my telescope is pretty.
For anyone not knowing what the hell Oliver is all about right now, I treated myself to a new telescope the other day. And so I've actually been looking at the planets. The other night, I woke up at about 4:30 for no other reason that I woke up. And I decided, instead of going back to sleep, I'm going to see what's out in the night sky. So I got my little telescope and was looking at Jupiter.
Amazing. I don't believe him either, everybody. But yes, he says he saw Jupiter. So as we mentioned about last week, we are so pleased and so happy for all your amazing support with James and I on our podcasting adventures this time around on season 2 of the Double Trouble podcast, because, well, to be honest, we started doing it again because we wanted to have a bit of a creative output, but also talk to people and learn new things. And we're really glad that you guys want to be on this journey with us and have been interacting with us so well. In fact, I did a thing the other day, which it actually works. If you said to your vocal search device, so you could say, for example, Alexa, play Double Trouble podcast, it'll play it. Same with, so if you could do, everybody, because we want to find it easier. Obviously, that's Alexa telling me that I've just searched for something.
Yeah, okay. Well, so then if you say, okay, Google.
No, let me turn it off. Okay, do it again.
Okay, Google, play Double Trouble.
Exactly. Or on your iPhone, you can say, hey, Siri, play Double Trouble podcast. So just make sure you do it.
hey, Siri, play Double Trouble podcast, like you've got a bit of a chip on your shoulder, or does it work if you're a bit?
Well, I don't think so. I wouldn't say it like that. I just say, Siri, can you play the Double Trouble podcast? Or you could just be whatever you want to do. Because we found that way it just saves so much more time for people. And don't forget, if you hit the subscribe button, because I'm learning all this stuff on the time, you see, so while we've been learning this podcast journey, subscribing makes it a hell of a lot easier for you to know when this is out.
Yes, because we try and be consistent. Say we try. Oliver does a lot of the work for all this, so yeah,
about 80% of it, to be honest with you.
About that, I just bring the funness, shall we say? So anyway, this week, like we said, we've got Luke on. As originally we were supposed to have Tom, but due to plannings, we're actually going to shoot that next week now. But I know that you guys are going to find this very, very interesting. Hopefully, as fun as we do. But before we start, Oliver, I hope that as our response has been from last week, you'll appreciate it is more than acceptable to eat with a spork and have fruit on your pizza.
Okay, so I'm very happy to inform everybody that seemingly a lot of people in the Italian nation and Italian heritage have got in touch and said, Oliver, thank you for bringing this point. I know, and I've learned actually since that tomato is actually a fruit as well. But when we talk about fruit, we mean, just all sorts, peaches. We put peaches on a pizza. I'm not going back over old ground, but thank you for your intense support, because I made a pizza the other day, back on the baking, tried some bread rolls today, but they were like, well, they're good for throwing at the birds to get out of the garden. So we're going to try probably something new in the cooking this coming week. But anyway,
I'll tell you what. Now I remember, I was actually really, really close to making good tortillas this week.
Almost. So what happened?
Well, I didn't have the stamp, so I was using 2 plate dish bowls, squishing them together, but they weren't coming out perfectly round. Well, I actually purchased a tortilla stamping device. Apologies for not knowing the real name, but that's because I don't speak Spanish yet. But
exactly,
I plan to be bang on my Mexican journey next week too.
Amazing. Right. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, everybody, we are going to crack on with this. Hopefully you have just whetted your appetite. Do you get it? Talking about food there and everything. And whatever we're talking about right now, we just hope that you enjoy it as much as we do. Oh, and by the way, James, with your telescope, what you mentioned earlier about.
Yep.
Why don't you apply to see if you could do sort of get some telescope help from somebody who may have worked or is going to work at NASA or something like that. You might as well aim for the stars in this type of thing. Another pun there, you see. But maybe if there's anyone listening out there who's got any involvement in any type of space agency, please drop James a message and tell him what constellations to look for.
Also, thank you again for people who started following Steve Coleman on the Instagram, Steve Coleman Fitness. My mate, who's an amazing PT, who I did a core workout with him this week, and I am in bits now. I tried to do one crunch this morning and I couldn't even do one. So again, Steve did a great workout yesterday. It'll be on his Instagram live. Please check him out.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, as they say, let's get on with it.
Who's they?
Me.
Okay.
And subsequently, from our first show, other people have said, I'm using that now. So as we say, let's get on with it. Here's Luke's interview with us. Well, I say interview, chat with us. Cool, Luke. Thanks so much for coming and chatting with us today on your epic road trip. It sounds like right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm in Albuquerque, which is in New Mexico. All of these states are kind of merging into one another, so that's exactly where I am. And just sat in a little alcove in the hotel room.
As alcoves go, it's quite nice though.
Yeah, I mean, let me. It's got a little light there, a little detailing at the top. That's as far as I'm going to show you.
I'm not going to ask where you're sitting.
Yeah, we'll leave that out of the question. Leave that out of it.
Is there good Mexican food in Albuquerque?
Well, there is good Chinese food because that's what was eaten last night and this morning for the leftovers. But I think that Mexican food, I'm going to wait till I get back to California, which will be in about 2 days' time.
Okay.
Guys, I know that we know this already, but the country America is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
Like literally drive in one day and then you might just make it to the next day. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it always blows my mind, especially if like James and I go to a convention or anything like that, and we're meeting people, and I say, have you traveled very far? And to an English person, a 45-minute drive is far.
Yeah.
Right. And then so there were people. I remember once someone said to me, "Oh yeah, it wasn't too bad. We did 9.5 hours this morning, and then we're doing it, and then we're driving straight back." And I was like,
no way.
What?
There's absolutely no way. And that's the thing as well, because travel really makes you tired. I don't know what it is, if it's just like seeing the same piece of road, if it's something that happens to you when you're 37,000 feet in there. I have no idea, but it is so tiring. And the fact that people, I mean, it's really great that they come out and drive so far, but it's just so far. It's so far.
I think that's the difference. It was only really when after spending a bit more time in the States that I actually found a very strong tolerance for traveling around England. You know, whereas sometimes it would be, oh no, I can't be bothered to go an hour down the road.
No,
and now
not
it's just
at
like,
all.
oh, okay, fair enough.
It's just
I
an
think that's
hour.
just, as you say, because of the sparseness of the continent. But where have you started from, and where are you going to?
So California, so Los Angeles, which is where I live now. LA to Phoenix. Phoenix to LA to Phoenix. Phoenix to Santa Fe. It was going. Then to Oklahoma City. Then to Memphis. Then to Atlanta, and then down to Orlando, where my mum lives. And that took, I don't know, easily 7-8 days. Like if we kind of like truncated it all together, and then just the same back. But it's been so epic as well, because it's kind of like seeing each state change is quite amazing, because like you cross the state line and then you're like, oh no, I do feel like I'm in a different state. I'm gonna see Roadrunner running by any minute now.
Yeah.
It's just
you stand still too long, a big shadow of an anvil starts falling down.
Exactly, just forming next to you. But nah, it's been so cool, because I done a few years ago a road trip from Chicago to LA, and because that was further north than where we are, we went through like the Rockies and stuff like that. So
and was that
terrain?
So was that driving Route 66?
I think part of it was, yeah.
Yeah,
and so
and
that
highway.
felt like the Cars movie.
Yeah,
it's just so wild, because you're driving, you're like, I've seen this before. Oh, okay.
Radiator springs.
Radiator springs. It looks exactly the same, and it's so wild because like you see those types of trucks, all they're missing is the eyes and the mouth. They're rusty as hell and looking like the wheels are gonna fall off any second. They've been driving for like the past 200 years.
So when you get back to LA, have you got anything set up, or is it just a case of just try and get back into the normal swing of life?
Well, what's been strange is that because I'm doing a lot of voiceover stuff now, that is the only one sector of the industry that hasn't closed down. Like if anything, it's kind of gotten more busy. And it's so wild because, like every production, or at least on-camera production in the States, in Canada, has been closed due to coronavirus. And so I just thought that everything was going to be off. Then my voiceover agent was like, so yeah, Fast and Furious want to do a session with you. And I'm like, what do you mean they want to do a session? They're like, oh, just like your setup. So I like travel, got this little mic that I take everywhere. And this little kind of booth thing. And so some of the episodes of Fast and Furious are going to be recorded just nestled around clothes, trying to create as much sound absorption as possible on my laptop with a $50 mic. And so everything's kind of just been continuing to go on the voiceover front. And so I've been really fortunate that I've been able to continue to keep working, really. And there's some of the projects that I've been working on before, like Fast and Furious, and there's a video game. Guys, it's so annoying that I can't say what.
I was going to say, we were just about to press with that. So go on.
It is so epic, and you know what it is. Like you'll know what the video game is.
Can we play the Is It Not game?
Yeah.
So
yeah, let's do that.
Is it not made by Rockstar?
It's not made by Rockstar.
Right. Okay. James, you'll go.
Is it Sonic the Hedgehog?
It's not Sonic the Hedgehog. You're just going in. You're the type that when you play Guess Who or whatever, you're like, is it Sarah?
Yeah, exactly.
Just going straight to the Are they wearing a hat? Do they have it? Has he got a moustache? All right, go on, Ollie.
No, that's that. I'm trying to work out. Is it made by EA? Because of course we've all collaborated on an EA game before.
Yes. I am not going to say no to that.
Oh, okay.
So,
James, you'll go. Is it Madden?
Is it FIFA 21?
If anyone, you lot included, know anything about my football skills, it's definitely not FIFA 21. You know, I could be the commentator though.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. No, it's not FIFA 21.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. We'll leave it there.
Yeah. It is part of an existing franchise, and that's all I'm going to say. I will leave it as that.
Because I feel like we're getting really close. I think we're nearly there. You know.
I'll let it mull over in your brain for a little bit.
NASCAR 21.
You're just going to be throwing these out every time.
Yeah. Try the show now.
You'll get a text message at 3 a.m.
Exactly. I've got it.
So in terms of so we noticed that the obviously on your Instagram page you put some really cool photos up of like the motion capture stuff as well with the voiceover stuff. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so that's like one of the games the game that I was just referring to, and it's so wild because, and you guys will know what this is like, having to be in a green screen situation or act where there's not like things supposed to be there that aren't actually really there. It really makes you use your imagination in ways that you just never thought you would have to in life. And so like you're creating the entire environment. And what's cool about it, and it feels more like theater in this sense, is that because you do have nothing, you might just have like a table that has kind of been built out where the table might be in the room with an object that looks nothing like the thing that you're actually working with, that you have to really fully immerse yourself in this world. But then it helps because the technology is so good now, you can actually see your avatar on screens that are placed around the studio. So we're constantly like doing like the robot, seeing our characters like doing the robot in this office or wherever we're at, and just acting silly and things because you move and there is zero lag. Like it's just on. And so that's really helpful when you kind of like are looking at the environments that you're in. And it just looks so clear. And the detail is already at such a high level, but then they'll be like, guys, this is nothing compared to what it's going to be like. And they'll show me a rendering of an item, and like you can zoom in to closer than what our eye would be able to see in real life, and you'll see like the scratch marks on it. And so I don't know how these animators and these engineers do what they do, but it's just so epic. And so getting to so kind of like just going back to the whole experience of it, being able to be on a project that kind of goes from beginning to end chronologically is really great. Because like when we shoot movies and things, it's just all out of order. You just don't know what you might be like, okay, I think I'm going to do that scene next week, and then it changes because of it's raining or whatever the thing is. But this always shoots in order, which is super helpful because we know exactly where we are or where we're meant to be and what has happened to us just before and what's like making us make the decisions we make. But I think there is something that's so cool about seeing you become a completely different person and not having any idea of what it's going to look like. So when the game drops in, you know, thinking like 3 or 4 months from now, I'll be, even though like I'm in it and acting it and everything, it's still going to feel like I'm experiencing all of this for the first time, even though I'm hearing my voice and seeing remembering like how I move, but just being in that whole environment and the game and the sound effects and the music and all of that stuff that kind of gets put on top of it it's just going to be so sick. It's just so sick.
But with that, you know, so that crown thing,
yeah.
Are they cameras or something?
Yeah, so you have the headgear, and then right at the end of it, there's a camera. Yep. And so that captures all of your facial movements. Because remember when one of the games that we had worked on together, they put us in the room, and they had all the cameras around us.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just completely different now because they can capture all of the data or whatever they look for just from that one camera, and you don't even need dots on your face or anything anymore.
So you don't wear, like, because I remember they used it was almost like a really, it was a makeup, but it almost had pigments in it, so it showed up everything. You don't need that anymore.
Only if you have no eyebrows. So one of the guys.
Do tell.
A little bit of set gossip. One of the guys on on the game has very fair eyebrows, and so okay, what are we gonna do? And then I can't remember who it was. Some of them must have just been like, "Oh, Sarah, have you got your mascara?" And they literally just take out some mascara, put it on, and so now going from like super fair, like sparse eyebrows, he's now got these black caterpillars that are just stuck on his face. And so that just helps. I think it helps the computer track your eyebrow expressions. But nah, I think just the technology has moved so far ahead that they don't need that anymore. And there's usually one person who's working on each of the characters. So they will be this close to your face and tracking every single movement. So they're going to know you, I guess, better than you know yourself, or at least your facial movements.
Wow.
That's mental.
Crazy, yeah.
What was it called again?
You ain't gonna get me. It's just such a great experience. There'll be a time when all of us will work on one. I know it. It's gonna come, but it's just super fun, and you get to wear these suits and feel like you're in Tron or something.
Is it Tron?
It's not Tron.
No, that's wicked though. That's cool. So is that when you went into like the voiceover stuff, is that because it's always been an interest? Like, as long as I've known you've been doing stuff of that nature anyway.
Yeah.
So is that a case of just because it's something what's different you can move to freely?
Totally. It was something that I always wanted to do because when I was a kid, me and my brother would watch cartoons all the time because all the stuff that like we grew up with, and a lot of the American shows like Dexter's Lab or Cow and Chicken, and
I watched that the other day.
What, Cow and Chicken?
Cow and Chicken, yeah. And there is so many funny innuendos.
Yes,
I couldn't believe it. It was especially the devil, the big red naked guy. He's full of them.
Full of them. I mean, he like walks around on his bum and then he's literally like poking these kids with his damn trident thing.
Pitchfork type thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And that show is, I don't know how they got away with any of that. After a while, so Dexter's Lab, for instance, like the whole style of it changed. One time it's like, oh, coming back for a new season. And it's like, what show is this? Yeah. And I think it is good in animation when they do stick to the thing that has worked all these years. And so I'd wanted to break into voiceover for the longest time. And it literally is that thing of breaking into it. Because when I moved to LA 10 years ago, God,
10 years.
10?
Guys, it's been 10 years. 10 whole years. It's madness. It's complete madness. Because it feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 10 years ago, and I remember I got my voiceover agent, I want to say maybe like a year into being there or something, or maybe a little bit before that. But anyway, it took me 6 years before I booked my first voiceover job. And I was so happy. Like when it finally happened, I was like, yes. And my agent was like, Luke, don't worry. It just takes a long time to break in because they constantly use the same people because a lot of people can do different voices. And it's also that thing of like, you just want to work with your friends. And so if I know so-and-so over here is good at that particular thing and they're nice to work with, then sure, why not? I'll just hire them. And there is zero, that's the thing as well, like there is zero egos. Mm-hmm. So for us, we've been in situations where an actor or whoever might be like, hey, what are you doing, man? Chill out. But in... Who are you thinking of, James?
Yeah, James, your guess, yeah.
Go on. Is it not?
Is it not a... Actually, no, I was going to say a funny story about when a certain reality TV star threw a coat on the floor at a party once. Anyway, he picked it up there, didn't he?
Exactly.
So when you got into the voiceover stuff and everything like that, but I'm amazed that the agent like it must have been satisfying for you to know that the agent was still obviously plugging for you for
totally. And that's what, like, her Alyssa Gentile, who was my agent at the time, and I was like, Alyssa, she's like, Luke, just hang in there, it's coming. And I was so thankful that she kind of like obviously knew the industry, but like was so supportive of me and could see that it was going to become something, and just kind of like stuck with me and encouraged me to continue to do it. Because it would have just been so easy to be like, you know what, it hasn't worked out for however many years, I'll just continue being on camera or just not even really think about it. But because it was something I just really wanted to do, because I love animation, I persevered. And then the shows that I got, because the first one was a show called Glitch Text, which is now on Netflix. Mm-hmm. It got released, when was it? January 22nd or something. But I've been working on that show for 3 years. And that's another thing, is like, it just takes so long for them to do all of the animating. So the fact that I've been working on it, and we recorded like 20 something episodes, and after that, the ball kind of was rolling. And so I felt like I've kind of got my foot in the door now, and it just continued to go on and on from there. And so like, and then Fast and Furious came out, which is also on Netflix. And then there's another show where there's a little part in it. I can't say what that one is either.
Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah, completely new. I'm playing Dexter. Completely new iteration again. Man, I would love for them to bring that back.
Only if, like you say though, only if it's the same as what it was. Because do you remember when Disney bought Doug, and they made like
they brought from Nickelodeon, didn't they?
Yeah,
and they made it
that
all
was
really
so
like
strange.
I remember. So the other day we've got Disney Plus.
Yeah,
other streaming places are available, but
well, for Disney, I don't think so.
Well, anyway, clicking through, and my wife was like, "Oh, there's a Doug's on here. You like Doug, don't you?" I was like, "That's not Doug. They changed it."
Doug. It's because there was something that was so so great about like the animation style as well. Like you wasn't sure if like his arm was gonna hang on, because it was just like constantly like, all the lines were kind of like moving a little bit, and
it's like the same guy did all the effects.
Yeah,
everything was like a I still make that noise when I'm waiting in a line.
Well, I made a faux pas the other just before this quarantine broke down. We were looking to get a load of logs for our house,
Yeah.
like for a wood burner we've got in the back garden. And so while we were at the hardware store getting it, I kept singing. I didn't realise. I thought it was just to annoy. I was really doing it to annoy my wife, but someone else overheard me in the queue and turned around and went, "I know, I know." And it was the Ren and Stimpy tune for log. Log, log. Everyone needs a log. And he just goes through like different types of log you can get. Action Man log and stuff like that.
That's a you know
yeah,
what, Ollie,
funny
that's another one of those shows that's crazy.
Yeah, and again, I think when you get into that type of thing, but I think looking back, there's a whole cult of just a whole thing of just cult television of that time period of like the early 90s, mid 90s. So many really good shows, which some have come back and done like newer adaptations of it or whatever, and others have kind of stayed where they are, which is nice because they haven't ruined it, they haven't done it differently. We did, was it the third video game or the fifth?
It was.
No, it's later now, wasn't it? It's like
no, it was. It was Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was. Yeah, now come to think of it, that's a long time afterwards. That's the fifth. Yeah, that's the fifth one.
That's got to be about 12 years ago now.
Easily.
We were recording that, yeah, because that was when they had the so the old, for everyone listening, if you want to imagine what the original EA studios in England looked like.
It was so sick.
It was like the Avengers headquarters.
Yeah, that's such the perfect way to describe it. Say that again.
Like the foyer was all glass, but if they wanted to have al fresco like this, they could literally move the roof back.
Yeah, that play, and the best part of it was the fact that they had the free arcade.
Yeah.
And you could take a break anytime you wanted and go downstairs and just play pinball or Street Fighter or whatever the games were that you wanted to play. You could just go in and you didn't have to put in £1 or I don't even know how much it is now. £2 probably.
But no, I mean, I was going to say the best part I thought was when you leave and they give you a load of games.
Yeah, that was, and you know what as well is that anytime you're working on stuff, people always assume that you get the hookup. And it's always like,
very rarely does that happen.
That hardly ever happens. I did a Beats by Dre commercial, and I did a Beats by Dre commercial, and part of me was kind of expecting to leave with some beats. Didn't happen. I was really annoyed. Nothing.
We could get rocking the Apple ones right now.
Exactly. I'm like, no, it's so. But no, they paid us for the commercial, so I guess we.
I know what you mean.
kind of works out in the end. But no, I just thought they'd have loads of them lying around, and then they could just be, "Oh, here, go and take a pair." So,
but they do. It kind of gets that with everything. I mean, did you want to? I was going to try and get back to, I suppose, where, like, because I remember when we first met, it was on the first film on Potter.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time we'd actually seen each other, or we'd seen you at least, was in we spoke about this briefly with Bonnie the other week, was in the waiting room. Yeah, did you know that Bonnie was there as well?
Was she really?
Yeah.
In that audition, she was waiting outside.
So then, hold on, because I feel like...
and Matt was there as well.
I think Matt was there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Devon was there. It just kind of sounds like now, at least, it was a room of all the people that they wanted.
It was a room of talent.
Yes. Yes.
It was a room of talent.
But like, I remember we were just sat there in this this waiting room, because let's face it, it was an office area. So if you imagine like an old 60s, or not even 60s, 30s style building, and we're in a like the little waiting room outside before we went into the main office, but they still had tinted glass sides to it, so you could still see roughly in, and all we could hear was you just doing the Quidditch commentary on like 110%. And we were like sat there.
You see this little silhouette going up and down.
You just see your silhouette jumping up and down in the other side of the glass, and we were like, "Oh no, what is going? Is this what we've got to do? We haven't practiced that." And then literally the door opens, and I think it may have been Janet, the casting director, or somebody said, "Okay, thanks very much, Luke." And you were there with your mum, and just said, "Okay, great, bye," and then quiet as anything, got on your scooter and off you went. And we were just, and the rest of us were sat in the waiting room like, right, who's next?
All right.
Yeah.
It's such a funny experience, kind of like for me, the whole booking of that job actually, because just before that, I was in The Lion King when it first opened in the West End. And one of the young Nalas, I played young Simba, and one of the young Nalas, Dominique Moore, she was reading the books when we were rehearsing for it. And I remember her telling me that it was like, oh, it's Luke, it's such a good book. It's about a boy who's a wizard, but he doesn't know he's a wizard. And then he goes to this, and I'm like, how can you be a wizard and not know you're a wizard? That doesn't make sense. And then she's like, no, Luke, trust me, read it. So I completely forgotten about it. And then I just finished, I'd done it for a year. And so I finished the show, and then my agent was like, we have an audition for you for this thing called Harry Potter. And I was like, okay. And I was like, Harry Potter, why does that ring a bell? And then it clicked in my head, oh, this is the book that Dominique was reading. And so I was like, all right, well, I may as well kind of get it and just start reading it a little bit. So I started, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually really, really good. And I go to the audition. I must have got in maybe 3 chapters or something. Go to the audition, and there were no sides. There were I just knew nothing about it at all. And so the lady, because it wasn't Janet at that point, because she'd come over afterwards. But the casting director who they had for me the first round, she was like, okay, so it's like this game, and everybody's flying around on broomsticks, so it's all magic and stuff, and you're the commentator, so just commentate, go. And so I was like,
sounds like casting director 101, that, doesn't it?
Totally. And so I was like,
because you're such a big football fan, this must have been really easy.
James, you know what, for everyone out there, I am not a big football fan at all. But I had heard, as I'm sat there, my brother, who was a big football fan, and uncles, and everyone else actually in England, except for me, pretty much, will be watching football all the time. So I would hear, the commentary and be like, all right, I could do that. And so, and so I just start making this thing up. And I'm shouting at the top of my lungs, like really excited and stuff. My mum is sat outside in the car because it's the middle of summer, and for some reason it was hot that day in England. Just sat there, she's like thinking, what the hell's going on up there? Kind of like how you two were on the other side of the glass at that. And so I leave, and all right, thanks. She had mentioned she wanted me to meet Chris, who was our director, Chris Columbus. And I was like, all right, cool. So then I go home and I continue to read the book. So I hadn't even gotten to the Quidditch part yet. And so it goes on, and then I arrive at Leavesden, which is where the callback for me was. And I see some people, just like other kids sat outside, which is you two, and Matt was there, and Bonnie now. And then go into the room. But at this point, they had given me, I think I just got some sides. And the sides were, it was like maybe 3 pages or something. And so I was like, go in, and I'm reading this thing, shouting, screaming. Chris is there, like, laughing. David Heyman's sat in the corner, just being super chill. He was just sat there, just like this, the whole time. Super chill, not saying anything. And Janet was there, really excited. And then, just did my thing, lost all the energy, and was like, all right, thanks, left. And then you two are like, what the hell? And then a few months, but I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything for like 3 months.
Really?
And so, yeah, it went, no, maybe like 2 months, because it was September.
That's right.
And you lot had started shooting already, because you've been to, was it like Goathland or something?
Yeah, we were up in Northumberland, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know that you guys, that they had even started the film, but I knew that I had this callback again. I'm like, all right, cool. But this time it was 12 pages. Like it was the entire Quidditch commentary, which is what it was then. And it just couldn't get into my head. The lines just could not get in. I was like constantly going over them. I was like, Mom, I can't get it. She's like, Luke, just do whatever you can. And so I was like, I don't want to go in for it. She's like, Luke, you've got this far. You may as well just go. So we drive up there. She wasn't one of those pushy stage moms. Like, just get in there. Like, smile, come on. So I go, we get there, and I'm outside the studio. And because I don't know this the way that I feel comfortable wanting to know these lines, I'm like nervous. And I'm like, Mom, I don't want to do it. She said, Luke, I've driven you all this way, which is probably like 45 minutes, which for us in England is a really long time.
It's an effort. It's an effort.
It's a proper effort. All the way from Camden Town to Leavesden, which is just outside Watford. And she's like, you're going in. And so I was like, fine. And so I go in, I'm like, hi guys. And it was the evening time, it was dark at this point. And I think it was just because you guys had been filming all day. And then Chris comes up, everyone comes up after the shoot. And so I'm sat there and start going through these sides. And the words just leave me completely. And so after that, I just made the whole thing up. I just made
as in like even just like the quaffle and the snitch and things like that.
No, well, I knew about the quaffle and the snitch and the beaters and like all of the secret, and I knew that Harry Potter was gonna catch a snitch at the end of it. So I kind of like knew where I was going with this story, but the details of what happened were completely different to what they had written. Like, oh, he just got hit in the face over there. It's like, that didn't happen. But I had to just go for it. And so I just winged it. But I still kind of like kept the essence of what they wanted and what was required. And they asked if I was able to do a costume fitting. And me and my mum were like, yeah, okay. Get fitted for the school uniform and the cloaks and that. And then by the time I got home, there was a message on the answering machine from my agent saying, call us as soon as you get this. In England, agents don't stay at work after 5:30. They are out of there. You're calling them the next morning. So I knew that it was something big. And then they told me that I booked it. I was like, oh my God, yes. And they said, okay, well, you start work on Monday. And this was like Friday or something. I was like, huh? And then obviously I was there on set with you lot. And you've been there. So I think I might have officially been the last person who was cast in the movie.
So did you have a wig fitting as well? Or was that the first day when you got...
I think that was around that same time.
Yeah.
So they had done, I think I did the costume and they said, okay, yeah, I think it was around that same time because they had to work super quickly. And so, and it was Elspeth. I'll never forget her name because it was, to me at the time, like it sounded so unusual. And so she like put all this like plastic wrap stuff on my head, taped it down to get the exact size and shape of my head. And then when I arrived, this wig was ready. And I remember you lot.
I remember the first time, which was probably about 3 weeks later, I saw you without it on. I was like, well, where's your dreads?
And that was because it was so convincing. And even to this day, like when I tell people that, oh no, that was a wig, the look on their faces, they're like, huh? But it was, I mean, I might need it back. Now I feel like my hairline's starting to, you know. But it was cool to be in it because like we've known each other for almost 20 years now.
Yeah, I mean, it would be getting on to 20 years at the end of this year. Yeah, because we were. I think we met for the first time probably on the Great Hall set, maybe.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, you know, our dressing rooms were right opposite each other. Exactly. Obviously similar age, very similar in terms of humor and
trying to
just like enjoying it really, and especially with like the girls who were on the Quidditch team as well.
Yes.
Like Danielle and Michelle and people like that. They were so much fun.
It was so.
Remember we were pulling pranks on each other. I think it was the second film, wasn't it? There was little pranks going on, and by the end of it, we literally went downstairs, and they had like these huge trees in plant pots, and we somehow managed to crack this tree.
I feel like if it was any other job, we would have been fired instantly.
Yeah, very, very quickly.
We just kept playing the whole, no, we're in character, this is what we need to do.
And it was kind of weird how that played out, actually, because like our characters being best friends, us being best friends on set, and just like hanging out with the other Quidditch guys, like it just all kind of made sense in a weird way.
Definitely. No, so I know I put this on the other day, but for your birthday actually, but I found these again. Remember that day when we went to Madam Tussauds?
Yeah.
Been filming at King's Cross, I think.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember how cold it was that day?
Yes. It was freezing.
My
Absolutely
God.
freezing, yeah. Pretending to be September in like January.
That day, though, after we decided to go to Madame Tussauds, because we did the whole get there early and line up, and then the vending machine ate our money. I'll never forget. Whenever I drive past Madame Tussauds now, I still see that vending machine thinking, so if you're ever in line to Madame Tussauds, do not buy anything from that vending machine.
Don't do it.
I remember after we were crossing London, and we decided to get on the old Route Masters. You know where I'm going with this one.
I know exactly where you're going with this. Keep going, James.
So the old Route Masters, for those of you who are listening, are the traditional looking London buses where you can literally hang on the back of the bus on the corner.
Yeah.
So as we're going down Regent Street, everybody was kind of just hanging on, and it was slowing down. I thought, why is no one getting off? This is what you do, surely. So I jumped off, not realising
to move your feet.
Still going about 10 miles an hour. I could probably only get my feet up to about 5 miles an hour. And I rolled down the hill, took out a couple of foreign tourist groups, scared two old ladies half to death. And I tried to like style it out while walking off with my leg dripping with blood.
There was no styling that out at all. It's people like you, James, why they put doors on the back of buses.
Exactly.
Tourists.
But the funny thing was as well is that your mum and dad had seen the whole thing. And I remember your mum was like, "Yeah, good one, James."
Limping, room, everything.
Oh my God, that was so funny. And me being a Londoner, I was like, I'm not even trying.
Yeah, I don't know these people. Yeah, I don't know these Brummies who are coming around here.
No, that was such a great experience. And the thing about it is as well, like to kind of like just going back to King's Cross and stuff. There's so many like little details because like when they're walking past, I don't know who it was that was walking past, but we're all kind of like together with our trolleys. And then they had built me an animatronic tarantula.
Yeah,
that was my
out, didn't it?
Yeah. And it's such a shame that you don't get to see everything that they had done because that art department was just out of this world.
Well, I remember we filmed a bit where you were like, "Who wants to see it? Who wants to see it? Who wants to see it?" And we were all there was like a group of us on the platform, like, "Yes, I will." And I remember the first time I saw the edit of the film, like,
where is it?
Where's
I wonder, do you think they'll ever release? I don't even know if they ever made an extended version, but I remember Chris saying that it was like 4.5 hours long or something.
Yeah, it was long, wasn't it? It was really long. I think if they did, they'd definitely be legs in it. It would probably be a bit of a pain to re-edit part of it together, but they get some good stuff in there though.
Totally.
Is that your pun on the tarantula there, Oliver? There'll definitely be legs in it. No? Okay.
James, what's in your cup?
All right, possible, yeah.
I got this thing. Have you got one of these, which you put ice in them? You can be in your car, which is over 40 degrees centigrade, and the ice is still there.
What is it made of? How do they do it?
I have no idea. It's my little every time.
all right, I'm gonna get one. Because like driving out in the desert, that's the thing as well. Is like even when you've got the AC blasting, no, that 120 degrees will penetrate the car. Like it's gonna through. So yeah,
when you're there. Yeah. I remember the first film, The Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone, the premiere for that one, which was unlike nothing I'd ever been to.
I was gonna ask, like, were you guys ready for it?
No, because there was the cast and crew the day before, which was fun. And
yeah,
then,
but I think at that age, you kind of expect premieres to be like that, like how you see them portrayed in movies where they are. The only thing for me it didn't have was those huge spotlights what shine up at the skies, moving side to side. It was kind of that. It was. I thought that was how every premiere is. In hindsight, that was really naive of me.
Yeah. But I was blown away because I remember like they had cars to come and pick us up, which is really, I remember seeing it outside. I'm like, oh my God. But then do you not remember driving through Leicester Square and there being a sea of people on each side, even before we got to the point of like getting out of like, what was that experience like for you two?
it was scary as hell. And
but it was awesome though. but and also as well, I think the cool thing was that people didn't necessarily know who we were at that one, so you kind of get there and they'd be like, "Yeah, let's get you to the press pen."
Yeah,
and all the press are like, they don't care. They don't know who you are.
Day was the first time we were ever recognised because we were crossing Leicester Square to go home, I guess, and there were people who were at the premiere who saw us the day before. That was the first time anyone had ever clocked us in public.
And now you can't go anywhere, can you? You can't even go to the supermarket with your mask
Can't
on.
Go on a bus anyway.
But I remember the one of the funniest memories that stays in my head was the after party of the premiere, and there was like a kind of nightclub. It's like a school disco essentially.
Yeah, total school disco.
With a sit-down meal type thing.
Sit-down meal and then a school disco. But I remember there was on the dance floor, and I was kind of doing my school disco pogo stick.
Yeah.
And then everyone's kind of like just prattling around.
Shuffling around, yeah.
And then you rock up and just this dance floor.
No, yeah. In his outfit. Luke's wearing his outfit what he made and dyed his hair to the occurring colour.
It was
wow.
I really went for it on this premiere because I didn't know what to expect. They were like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be a big thing. But it was bigger than what I even thought it was. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go all out. My hair was like this blue aqua color, had on this like Versace suit, and then we get to watch a movie and we go to a party and there's music and a dance floor. Yeah. Let's do this. And so I don't even it was just such a crazy, like the whole thing just felt like it was just on 100 from beginning to end. It was madness. It was total madness, but so much fun. And it was nice as well because like we had I don't know if we had started. I don't think we had started the second movie yet.
No, I think it was just before that we started filming it. Yeah, it would be in the November.
And I think it was at that point, which is when I was like, oh no, this is gonna be huge. Like seeing the premiere and stuff, because like even though we had shot the movie and it seemed epic as we were shooting it, I just don't think I had thought of like how wide the reach was gonna be.
Yeah.
And it was. It's crazy to think that all of us have been dubbed in however many languages.
Well, I remember we were filming I suppose we would be doing the second film at this point. And my mum and dad's phone number was still in the local directory as, I think most numbers were probably at the time anyway. That's how you'd get in contact with your friends from school or whatever. Yeah. And we got a phone call to mum and dad's old house from somebody in America who just wanted to chat.
What?
It was so surreal.
Did you not talk to them?
So real. Yeah, had a chat for about half an hour. I wouldn't do that now. Now I'd say get some privacy, but I was like, hey, hello, how are you? So it was one of those just bizarre times.
When you filmed the bit that you'd auditioned for, essentially the Quidditch bit.
Yeah.
Who was it that you were there with? Because you're in pretty good company, weren't you, when you filmed that?
Who was I with? I think that time I might have been with a friend of mine, Mandisa, who I'd worked in The Lion King with, because we could have our own chaperones. Like we had to have our own chaperones, but we could kind of choose who they were. And a lot of the time they'd sent me with someone from my agency, the theatre school, and
you thinking about your eye?
And so I decided, no, I'm going to take someone that I know. I'm going to take someone that I know. But yeah, it's when you're on set and knowing that you can be around people that that just know you is so much better than having a stranger who could just like come to work that day and you're just kind of like, oh, yeah, like just trying to find things to talk about, and it's like, I don't know you. I want my mum to be here, or I want, my dad to be here, or cousin, or whoever is over 18 who can take care of me. But yeah, so I think I probably had the most chaperones out of anyone on set because they get to rotate in. But no, it was weird because I remember being sat there next to Maggie, and I'm like, okay, well, this is the day. And there, who was it? I think it was our second AD, Chris, who was Chris Carrera, or first AD, Chris Carrera, who was shouting out all the numbers. And so they had just all these numbers. Did you lot ever see it?
Yeah.
And so I'm like saying 17, 16, 23, 42. And then like we'd be following with our eyes, you two like flying around and then Harry like zipping across or whatever. And the wind was blowing and I was like, I have no idea how this thing is gonna look. So we shot all of it. And this was around, I want to say like December time or something. Mm-hmm. And then in June, close to my birthday, we had to reshoot the whole thing again. Because I think at that point they had choreographed the entire Quidditch scene. So I don't know if it got like sent back to America and they weren't happy with it, or I don't know what the deal was, or like the technology had changed at that point. But we had to reshoot the whole thing again. So all the Quidditch was completely different the first time I had recorded it to the second time, and so I just had no idea what to expect in the final edit, but it looked so damn sick. When I saw it, and man, this is the part that I'm in, and all of us are in it together. It was just so just like glued to the screen, and it's that thing of like, because you're in something, sometimes it's hard to suspend your disbelief, but I was just right there.
Definitely. Well, like you know, when you're doing it on the day and you're literally looking at numbered signs,
yeah,
side of a soundstage, and I think what was always fascinating to me was how they were literally making the technology whilst they were making the movies. So it really wouldn't surprise me if they changed that, because the technology they originally going to use is now out of date with this new stuff.
Exactly. And I was so jealous as well, because all of you lot got to fly. And I was like, man, I just really wanted to try it. And I remember you, because what was your, it was like really comfy, wasn't it? The broomsticks.
Oh, they were brilliant, especially the first year's broomsticks. They were like, yeah, it was like sitting on a pillow. It was, yeah. No, it wasn't much fun at all.
But no, I was, afterwards, when you told me that what it was like, I was like, okay, I think I'll sit in the tower and be all right with it. Just snuggle up next to Maggie, all right, Max? Oh my god!
So I just remember like especially my first thing was sitting next to you, like when we were at the Great Hall, and we'd have like the textbooks or whatever, and a lot of it would either be doing your actual homework or just doodling, like complete nonsense. And I remember what I was like drawing, like really rubbish, like stickmen thing. And I was looking at you, and you've got like this work of art I would not throw out, and you're just like, because one thing about you, mate, is that you're so creative in anything like you've got a style for type thing. So like in terms of like drawing with it, and then obviously like see like that side as well. But also like I know we touched on it earlier about like the premiere outfit you made up yourself. But like so then going to, was it the London School of Fashion and Art? Was it?
Yeah, I was at London College of Fashion, and it was one of those things that was like I always wanted to do. And so after,
which is really hard to get into as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. It's pretty difficult. And I'd done a short course at St. Martin's, which is linked to LCF as well. And the teacher that was on that short course was like, "Oh, I think you should apply to do like a degree here." And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, yeah, I really think that you should go for it. And I was like, okay. Because I was like just drawing and making things all the time. And I had such an interest in clothing and fashion. And like I'll go to the shop and be like, I can make that. Like, why am I going to spend money on that thing? I can make it to the exact specifications. And me being really short as well, half the time I'm having to change these clothes, like hack the bottom of the trousers off because I drag it on the floor, or my t-shirts are too long, so I need to chop the bottom of those off as well. And so I was like, no, I can do this. And it was really cool because the course that I did at LCF first kind of encompassed everything. So we'd have like lessons on photography, lessons on painting and drawing, so fashion design, which is what I eventually went into. So it's kind of like a taster of all of it. And it's nice to have those skills, or at least I kind of like know a little bit more about each of those areas, because even now with things like Instagram and stuff, and I do have an interest in like the visual, I'm able to implement all of that into the stuff that I'm still doing. And so it was cool to kind of like be there and like seriously studying this, because anytime like you're going to college or university, you've actually chosen, or at least in my situation, I'd chosen to be there. So it's kind of like I'm going to try to make the most of this situation. And so I was just like, I just wanted to learn everything, and then making clothes. And then I decided, like, I was watching that TV show Project Catwalk that was on at the time, and I was like, I want to be on that show. I'm going to do it. And I remember seeing like a little poster at the university that they were looking for contestants. It's like, I'm going to do it. So I applied and everything, and got in, and I was like, all right, this is it. And then I remember being on the show and it being like reality TV.
Rigged to death.
Oh, mate. I cannot even begin to describe how, like, I think you have to be good enough to stay, but they know. They're building a story. Like the whole thing is being built out from the beginning. So I'm like, all right, it's like good exposure. It's fun. I definitely want to be working in fashion. I'm just gonna roll with this. I end up coming third, and so I was like, sick. And I just only finished my first year at university at this point. And I remember like the acting thing, I'd put on hold because I felt like it was something that I could always go back to if I wanted to, and I didn't think that I was going to be honest. And so I continued doing fashion, and then I was working with some designers and also like different PR companies and things like that, and realized, yeah, I don't know if this is if this is for me. And if I do want to do it, I need to do my own. And that's something that I will do in the future when I've got a whole team and they can actually be the ones who are cutting all the patterns and actually doing the heavy lifting in that sense. Whereas I would just draw and just be creative and kind of like have the vision of it. And the acting thing had always been in the back of my mind. Like it just kind of just gnawing away still. And I was like, okay, I think maybe I'll get back into it. And my same friend, Dominique, who had told me about Harry Potter and who came to the second premiere with me, she was like, Luke, why don't you get back to acting again? No, I don't know. And then we had met a friend in common, Janet, who was like, I'm going out to LA. And so I was taking a gap year from between my, I guess, second and final year. And I said, well, I've got this year off. Yes, I'm working with a designer. I'm going to take 3 months at the beginning of January and go to LA just to like check it out and see what's going on. Zero intentions of anything happening. I just wanted to see. I'd never been to the West Coast before. So then I came to LA and I was like, wait, I think I can do this. And I ended up leaving with a manager, like signing to a manager.
because it's so easy to do that as well, you know.
super easy, you know, we met at this party and this industry party, and but no, it was, I think I just kind of put the energy out and was like open to whatever the universe had in store type thing. And so when it presented the opportunity, I was like, I'm just gonna roll with this. And so I didn't even end up finishing. I remember going back to university for like a couple months, and then in my head was like, I need to get out of it. Like, this is not the path that I'm meant to be on. And so I told them that I'm going to defer this year. And then I never went back. And I moved to LA. And then I haven't looked back ever since. I mean, it would be nice to have a paper to say I have a degree, but I really don't think that my life would have panned out in the same way had I stayed and continued to do that. And I'm so glad that I followed that part of it. But also just the fact that I had done that, like I have the skills and still the passion for fashion, but but it's just nice to know that I got something else outside of the work thing that I do, which is like you guys, and this is something that I always talk to my mum about. It's like James and Oliver are always having fun. Anytime that you guys are traveling, whether it's for a convention or you're going to be skydiving out of this plane or jumping, like you're always doing something interesting and always make the most of all of the places that you travel and go to. And it's really inspiring. It's just so cool. Like you've seen so much stuff.
I think part of it as well is that there's times, don't get me wrong, there's times when you are somewhere, and not so much now, but there's a time when I would just, like, the last thing I don't ever want to do is like, I can't be bothered to do anything, like apart from what we're there to do. I was just like, I can't be bothered. But then there's always something in my head going, you know, you're not going to be here tomorrow. Go and have a look around, and sometimes even just you'll see something which you'll just like, oh wow, that's a memory. It's be it random, be it good, be it bad, whatever. Like you can still have a good. I suppose it just adds to a place. Like there's no point. I don't think there's any place just going somewhere. I don't feel like people who say, "Oh yeah, I went traveling." Oh okay, what did you do? The exact route that everybody ever does.
Exactly.
Like, okay, fine. But what else did you do? Oh no, we did set tours every day. I always think to myself, right. So where's the adventure in the unknown? Well, I don't mean like obviously being sensible in terms of don't go walking through a weird neighborhood or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean James wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
No, he wouldn't know anything about that either. No.
When I Skid Row.
Exactly.
Walking down Skid Row, the Gloucester rugby scarf on, which is red and white. Great idea. Yeah.
Make sure.
I tell you what. The only reason we were in Skid Row, James, is because you refused to pay valet at the Staples Centre and said, no, we'll just park down the road in this multi-storey car park. I wonder why it's so cheap at this time of night. I tell you why it's so cheap, James, I said, because it shuts in 25 minutes. No, it'll be fine. Walk away from the Staples Centre. Oh, look, we're locked. Rant over.
So why did we go to San Francisco, Oliver?
Wow, what an amazing edit. Wow, segueing like that. Anyway, so basically we were invited. It was just not long after we were out at LA to announce the opening of Universal's Hollywood's part of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So while we were there, we actually met Jerry Brown, who's the then governor of the state. And he invited us to come to a fundraiser for his for a local community project up in it was actually at the Getty's house up in Pacific Heights. Is it Pacific Heights in
Pacific
San
Heights,
Francisco?
or Presidio
for
Heights, one of the two.
one of them, yeah, for up there in San Francisco for an Oakland charity. So we said, sure, that sounds totally random. Cool, yeah. When is it? So we got details, and it was about a month or two later. So there was James. James wanted to take his own car, if I remember rightly. He wouldn't come in the convertible with us.
I'd rented a Mustang, so I was like, I'll drive that up there. There's a lot of open roads,
Yes.
and there's a limiter on this thing to 60 miles an hour.
So meanwhile, we're leaving James in the dust.
Yeah.
Took me
They're in this weird like Mitsubishi convertible thing, which I still have never seen another one since. But we got in it, and we drove all the way up to San Francisco in a day, and then did this. Went to this party, which was so surreal, really, to say the least. Because we were in there, we just the good and the great of the city of San Francisco, which of course is very inspiring place anyway. Creatively and everything like that. So we're going around this house, and they're like, "Oh yeah, be careful of sitting in that chair. It's worth like 10 grand or something."
Easily.
So we're
there was
hanging
also
around.
a string quartet in the corner that just happened to be playing the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. Which never seemed to get a mention from anybody
at all. It's their version of the radio. Someone stuck on the iPod.
And I remember we were there because that was when Nicolas Cage was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Nicolas Cage. This was the best moment of the entire thing because Nicolas Cage was like, excuse me. Would you mind if I took a picture with you guys? He asked James and Oliver to take a picture with him. That's when I was like, all right.
Guys, I didn't even know it though until afterwards. I was like,
very cool. I mean,
wow.
Don't get me wrong, that blew my mind. And that would have been the highlight of the entire trip until the following day when we're walking down the street.
Oh my God.
And you were in Community at the time, right?
Yeah.
And literally a guy who didn't even stop, he just walked past going, pop, pop.
All of us turn around.
So we're just turning around going, and then
I'll give him one of those.
Yeah.
And then
that character, Luke, in the show Community, was that originally the only line that you had, or?
Yeah, that's literally what it was. So like, like we will get sides for the audition. Mine was this long because they like had a little character description, a one-man party, blah, blah, blah. He just comes in and is yo, 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 pop, pop. And that's all it said. And then it's like Magnitude continues to dance around. And I was like, okay, this guy's called Magnitude, so gotta be off the charts. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. It was just the same kind of thing. I just had to just go with it, whatever I felt in my body at the time. And I went with it, and the producers really liked it, and I booked the job. And then I just kept on going back again and again and again.
I mean, I think the one when you're doing a debating scene is one of the best.
Yeah. Me and Leonard just which is kind of what I'm I don't want to get too political, but it kind of is what politics is like now.
Run for office, mate.
You know what? I think I should. I'm changing careers, guys. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and then we went down to Pebble Beach, didn't we? To walk. Or you walked around the golf course with us.
But you lot know that was the first time I've ever been on a golf course, right?
Yeah, I remember you told us halfway around, and I was like, "Yeah, they're not all like this. there isn't normally a sea lion just flopping at the side of a green and a pelican or a whale in the distance,
But no, that was so. It was such a good trip. Now that I think about it, and there's been so many places that we've been to, like even like going up to Seattle and raining the whole time. That one. Yeah, no, it was such a good time, man.
I think that's
travel again.
I think that's the other side too as well. But like going back to what we said before, is that if you can get out to different spots, what you maybe wouldn't necessarily think of, or you know, if there's like your friends going somewhere and you can tag along
Yeah.
almost, like we're doing this in a day. But like you went out with my wife for like pretty much 2
Yeah.
days straight, came back and
Yeah.
she's like, oh, we saw this massive rat. And I'm thinking it's like this little, well, like a real rat, you know, not this like 20-foot model in the middle of the street or something like that.
We went to the museum, we walked up to another one under the freeway, hit the library. Like we could definitely say that we did Seattle. But it's nice to, like you were saying, have the opportunity to do that and make the most of it, because there's like so many cities that you would never think about going to, that you have like had the opportunity to go to, that it's just like really cool. Because like for me, Dallas is one of those places. I've been there 3 times now, like a couple times for work, and I done a convention there once, and it's just what I really love Dallas. I never thought that it would be a place that I would originally go to. But you guys have been, like, you've been to Dallas quite a few times, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, we did WrestleMania there one year, which was awesome. It was like 103,000 people going to the pantomime.
What?
It was brilliant. But I think that's the other side too, in terms of like getting away, because you were able to come back to England for work as well, weren't you? Which coincided really well because it was when I was getting married and stuff. So we kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone with that one.
Totally.
So, like filming Galavant, was that? Can you explain on that whole series? Because obviously it had quite a cult following, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a funny one. The weirdest thing about it, to me, at least at this point, is that although we shot in England and all of us had English accents in it, and it was set in the UK, we never aired in England. Like, it's not available to. I don't even think it's available on Net, because it's now on Netflix over here. But I don't think it's even available on Netflix back home. But I mean, there's ways around that tunnel bit. But the fact that we shot this thing, or had been cast out of Los Angeles, and they were like, "Great, you've booked it. You're now going to go and work in England for the whole summer." I was like, "Amazing." But we were in Bristol, and I'd never been to Bristol. I've been once before, but I was in an episode of Casualty when I was like 7. And so go to Bristol, and
which is a cool city.
It's so cool. It's like, it's really beautiful, good food, easy to walk around, and just so many stag and hen do's. There's always entertainment.
Yeah. I've got to be honest, I have partaken on a stag do there once upon a time.
How was it?
It was, we ended up in a bar, which we've been to a few times. It's not there anymore. It's called the Lizard Lounge.
You know what? I think we'll leave it at that. Yeah. It's
I mean, Bristol's
so
also
nice,
got other stuff, you know. It's got the world's first ever suspension bridge and stuff like that.
Yeah. Up in, man, I wanted to live in Clifton so bad. Because they've got like all those Edwardian houses and it's stuff that you just like see on a postcard. Yeah, so that job was really cool in particular because it was a medieval musical comedy. So kind of like the Monty Python and the Holy Grail type thing. The music was composed by Alan Menken, who has done like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and my personal favorite, Hercules, and all of these. It's so damn good. And so he composing the music for us, and Glenn Slater. James just got really bored with
No.
I was going to say, yeah. Video call, James. Video call.
Idiot, my battery's just come on. Where's my?
No. Did you get the wire?
Oh, it's here. That's all right. I thought it was plugged in.
I'll tell you, while you're doing yours, I'll do mine. Keep going, Luke. I can still hear you.
All right. Alan Menken and Glenn Slater did all of the music for the show, and the fact that, like, you know, these legendary people are writing original songs for us it was just mind-blowing. And they're also like super funny, and it just kind of felt like, you know, like how it was for us, like you're just going to work with your mates
Yep.
And you just like enjoy all the time, have fun, sing a little bit, just act a little bit crazy every now and again, and then you just get to be home. So it's just also that things of like being able to eat ice buns or get chocolate that tastes really nice. It was great because like I could come up and see you guys because I could just catch the train and just be there, or go to London on the weekends to stay with my family and like see friends I haven't seen in years. So it kind of was like the perfect job. And then when the weather starts to get crappy again in England, it's like, okay, well, we're up now, so it's going to go back to LA.
Because I remember you were on it worked out really well for my bachelor party, my stag party, because I think that was when you had a hiatus or something like that from filming. So us three and 17 others, or however many, went over to Ibiza. And one of the funniest stories, I think, from taking away from it was when we were at this very, I suppose, trendy pool party.
Yeah, and, what was it?
The Ocean Club.
Ocean Club.
The Ocean Club, yeah, Ocean Beach, yeah. And we were literally just not really playing the look down your nose on everyone type thing. Yes, we had a load of cabanas, but it was we were having fun with it.
Pool party, everyone rocked up with their own towel.
And a carrier bag with a change of clothes in it.
But then we got this. Do you remember there was like a massive sushi? James, I think.
Platter.
Let's do the sushi. Let's do it.
Well, I remember they gave a load of.
The kid who didn't pay, but he kept trying to nick it, so I kept wasabi all over his chopsticks. So he would.
I just remember that they made the mistake of giving free sun creams, little sun creams to people, which some of our guys have probably not even been out of the county, let alone the country. And
exactly.
one thing, one person's sitting down and he just gets covered head to toe, fully dressed in sun cream. Yeah. Anyway, that's going by the by. But I remember this guy came up to you convinced that you were Willian, the Chelsea and Brazilian footballer. And he was like, he was not having it that you weren't.
You know what? Now that I think about it, had that happened today, the way that we could have milked it.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
But then the game is how he was he from Belgium or Germany or somewhere like, and he kept saying, "Oh, I thought you would be taller than you are." But
like,
no, it's just TV.
And you just hear random people, William.
Yeah. And then, of course, we were all playing up to it as well. But the one thing I wanted to talk about that in terms of I suppose because he looks at your hair, because your hair now is similar, not as big. But I wanted to get onto this because I remember at the time that for some reason, and I don't know if it was just girls or people in general, felt that they had this right to be able to like actually touch your hair. Mm-hmm. So I remember this one this group of girls came over when we were on a night out, and they all started feeling your hair. So a few of us started feeling theirs, almost like chimps, like pulling stuff out of their hair and now, like, what are you doing? And they were just like, oh, we just wanted to see what it was like. That's not cool. Let's go and mangle someone's hair. So is there a rule that a lot of people seem to miss?
Absolutely. It's exactly what you just said though, because it's that thing of like, even if you haven't just met someone, I'm not going to come up to you and just start touching your hair. It's just not a thing that humans do. Now, I will say that my hair is pretty epic, and I it is. Want to touch it. That does not give you the right to just go and stick your hands in my hair. Because normally I'm just like doing one of those, judo shots, because I can usually feel. If it's in like my peripheral here, I'll know when it's coming. But sometimes like you'll just feel a hand on them and you're like, what are you doing? And that's like you guys reversing it is exactly what should be done. To kind of be like, well, now you know what it's like. Because then be like, well, what are you doing? Like, it's like the same exact thing that you're doing. It's ridiculous. And also, you're encroaching on my personal space.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you wouldn't go to someone who's just had all their head shaved and rub it, would you?
Nah.
Oh, isn't that soft?
Well, it's just... I mean, if they're your friends, then you might just like go and like slap the back of their
exactly. Or just like do all that type of thing,
If I remember correctly, though, didn't this all happen whilst we were all dressed as wrestlers? So could you imagine if you were looking up?
It was, you know what was so good about that as well is that everybody was so on it. Like the costumes were just epic, and the fact that we walked around in them fully and people knew exactly who we were, it just made it.
I remember though, because we had like I had a championship belt, and somebody else did, and it was amazing how random people wanted a photo with the belt.
Yeah,
it's a £5 job from eBay, mate. It's no, we need the belt. We need the belt. Everybody transferred Bitcoin or something like that, and then
exactly, we'll just keep moving around. Is Bitcoin even? You know what? It was weird because where was I? I think I was in Vegas, and I saw, and this was in February, and I saw a Bitcoin ATM.
Yeah. They've tried. I know that some places have started taking those out because some members of organised crime were using it to wash money.
What?
Yeah, you just type in your details and you'll load it.
Coin then?
No, it gives you a token or a receipt or something like that. Yeah, it's like a grain of sand. But there was like an off license or somewhere like that, and it had something like 4 million put through it or something like that in like a 2-month period or something. So obviously, yeah. So they moved that out the way. So yeah.
Man, I've been snoozing. I really could have been side hustle. I've been in Las Vegas. It's totally fine. You know, it's across state lines.
Pretty good. With during this whole lockdown thing, have you developed any new hobbies or skills or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. A hobby that I have is just binging, doing nothing. So like, it's just really.
I know, but just turning your brain off for a little.
Yeah. So like completely like zenning out and not feeling the pressure that I have to actually do something today or go out, or because I'm not at home. So like if I was at home, maybe I would be, because I know that you two had mentioned that you've been doing stuff around the house, like at my mum's house, and I'm like, oh, there's not really anything I need to do. But it feels nice because I'm not having to do that stuff, that when I do go outside for a walk or something, I'm actually absorbing more of what is around me in a weird way. And so I did have higher hopes of like, I'm going to paint, I'm going to write, I haven't done any of that stuff. But I have caught up on the first 2 seasons of X-Men as animated and on Disney+. I've also watched a few different, like binged a few other shows and things. But I think for me, because I am going to be back in LA in like 2 days or whatever, I think once I get back there, that's when life is going to somewhat start again. So I'm fully trying to rest during this time as much as I can. But I had really high hopes. I even signed up to masterclass.
I think that's the trouble as well. I said to myself that I would I'm going to do yoga every day, maybe once a week. I was running quite a bit. That's slowly stood up because I can go play golf now. So I've been just walking instead. And that's about it. But then there's other people like James. James, ¿tú hablas español?
Sí.
Okay.
So when we started this podcast, James said, yes, I'm trying to learn more Spanish. So I just keep throwing the odd phrase at him and he's got not a clue. You could say anything at all.
I developed a new hobby I say it's a new hobby. I've just indulged it more. So I'm a bit of a space geek anyway. So a couple of weeks ago, I got my old telescope out and I'm like, this is cool. I can see the moon. So then I decided, I'm going to get a new telescope. So the other night, I woke up in the middle of the night, went down into the garden, and I was looking at Jupiter, and I could see, and you could see about 6 of.
Hang on, how big's this telescope?
He's like drag it out. It's like one of those ones that you see.
I haven't got a lawn anymore.
The observatory.
Yeah, Joshua Bank. But but one thing I learned you should definitely do if you have a new telescope and you've got it in the garden at 3 a.m. Pre-warn your neighbours. Well, because my security light went on as I was out there with my telescope.
Just blaring into.
I saw a curtain switch down the street. Fortunately, as I was walking my dog the other day, I was like, "Hey, I've got a new telescope." He was like, "I wonder what the bloody hell you're doing."
Just setting up a mortar rocket, actually, mate. Yeah,
Exactly.
But I'm learning now how to take photos through it. So I'll send you one when
Yeah, please do. Do you use that app though, James? You know, like where you can see all the constellations and things like that to kind of like know the general.
Yeah, that's what. Not when the planets are out, but in the more when you want to see what different star signs. That's the thing. Random rant of the day. Who ever came up with these the name stars? Because it's like the two dogs, and it's two like
Exactly, they look nothing like it.
or the great men. But it's literally what the hell you what were you on that?
And then you know the Big Dipper, right?
Yeah.
It's actually part of another constellation, which is a bear. I'm like, what? I thought that this thing
And then
was
other
a damn
people are looking
ladle.
up there and saying, I always think though as well, like when people are looking at different things, they're like, you're looking at constellation, but you're looking at such a small part of the night sky.
Yeah,
That is where my uneducated side would struggle to find. Although I got to be honest, I bought one of these inflatable hot tubs. Yeah, it's great. So I sat out there last night, and because there's no air traffic, I was literally out there at like 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, just looking up at the sky. It was amazing. Again, stuff you wouldn't do normally.
So if you're looking at the sky in the daytime and you see clouds go past, all three of us will see three different things in a cloud. So when back in long ago when they were naming these constellations, was it just the person with the loudest voice that decided?
Maybe he's just looking at there. He's just standing there at the beginning of May. Looks like a bull. Taurus. Why Taurus? Oh, I just have a bull called Taurus. Oh, amazing. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Oh look. There's a set of twins over there. Yeah. Gemini. Where does that come from? Like, what's that about?
Gemini.
So what? Is one called Gemma? Is one called Gemma and one just I?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But they were
Pisces. Why is that a fish?
I don't, because I know like pescatarian, right? But also like, why? How do we turn that into Pisces?
Was it Latin? I imagine there's someone
maybe
at this right now saying.
Well, yeah, but why? Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, but here's the thing, though, right? Why is it that they're totally different things? Like some are animals, some are just like something random. I mean, the plough is one that always blows my mind. Some gardeners looked at it one day and went, "Got one of them in the shed," and just called it that.
Trying to read it, but there's words which I can't even describe.
Okay, try. It's an informative chat for everybody listening outside.
Pisces is a zodiac symbol, which is a fish.
Right, we've established that.
Yeah.
It's Jupiter and Neptune. And
okay, so planets were named after gods, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't think there's a god called Pisces, though.
I don't think there is either.
Here comes the fish god. He looks like Triton. He looks like something out of Stingray.
We're playing this game again, aren't we?
Is it Aquaman?
No, it's not.
Hang on, did it? So yeah, if you have a telescope, make sure you tell people about it.
We're just so tiny. What are we here for? What are we? What is this all about? Is it?
Well, the other day I saw the ISS was flying over the space.
Did you actually see it?
Yeah. And so, but it moves too quickly for most telescopes to be able to catch it. Because
wait, how quickly is it moving?
Right.
It's moving at like 15,000 miles an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gunning some heat. So, but when you see it, it literally just looks like a bright low star just moving in a straight line.
Oh.
And
it's so traveling at 7.66 kilometers a second.
Jeez.
All right. Also, let me get these. I have a couple of questions which I ask everybody.
All right, go on, James.
Again, every week I think, I should have given you some pre-warning for this.
First one is, and he asked this everyone to Luke, what video game are you
on? It's a video game, and it will be out in about 4 months.
Okay, so first one, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food is either spaghetti bolognese or just a roast dinner.
Proper Sunday roast.
Yeah, man, with the roast potatoes. I think the roast potatoes are the prize for me. The roast spuds are it. Oh. Oh. All right, go on. Next question before
What is your favorite film?
My favorite film is Kill Bill Volume 1.
I'm glad I'm not on a road trip with you right now.
So it's your least favorite film?
What is your favorite song?
Oh. All right, one of them comes to mind. You guys will know this, and I was obsessed with this. Destiny's Child Survivor album, Happy Face.
Happy Face. I was just about to say it.
In a great mood. And yeah, that's still up there for me. We're going with that.
And what is your go-to movie quote or TV quote?
Oh no, we're coming back to that one. I'm gonna have a good one for you. There's so many.
Oh, I was trying to see if there's one.
What is it? What are yours?
Oh, I've got loads. Majority of mine come from The Simpsons.
Okay.
So the other week when I was riding my bike, I couldn't get my cleats out in time, my feet out of the cleats, so I literally just started falling. But the only thing I literally said as I was falling was what I think it's Jasper says it, and he literally just goes, "Down I go."
Okay, so what would be your favorite movie quote?
We've come back to it. I really like. It's so bad. There's a movie that I really like called Death Becomes Her, and in it, Meryl Streep has found that the guy who she's cheating on her husband with is seeing someone else. she's also being cheated on, and she calls out and she's like, "Who is she? Who's the little piece of meat?" And for some reason, calling someone a piece of meat is just so entertaining to me. So I really like who is a little piece of meat, and I'm gonna roll with that one for now because that's the only thing that I can think of.
You're going to be on your drive later, and you're going to be going,
yeah.
"Damn, that's a good one."
Yeah. Should have said this. Should have said that.
Yeah.
Should have said that.
After that one.
Well, mate, thank you so much for taking the time out of your long road tripping to be able to
thanks for having me on the show.
Have a good chat and a good catch up about everything. Really great to see you and seeing that you're doing really well as well.
Yeah, you guys too. And no, thanks for having me on the show. This is just so damn cool. I can't wait to see everyone else. And I need to watch Bonnie's episode from last week as well.
Yeah,
and
you're just doing it in reverse.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this has been such a great time, and it's really kind of like broken up the trip in such a nice way. So thanks, you guys. And I just can't wait to see you again in person, man.
Yeah, definitely. No, we won't leave it too long, especially. And then, I don't know, maybe we should do some stuff, all three of us on stage or something like that at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Or we'll do a travel show or something like that.
Yes.
There you go. Maybe it's either good or it's dry.
Exactly. Right? Listen, if something's dry, then it's out. It's dry. It's got to go.
Yeah. All right, wicked. Cool. All right, mate. Well, we'll speak to you soon, yeah?
All right, then.
Mate,
take care.
See ya.
How good was that?
Really good. Really good. Huge thanks to Luke again for joining us during his quite epic little cross-country tour at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely fantastic. I wish that I could do something like that one day. But no, what talking about making the most of your opportunities, that is definitely it.
Definitely. And like I think we said before, we got to interviewing or speaking to Luke. We are three pals just reminiscing about times and also learning, because like I said before, I never knew that he went through all that stuff with auditioning. I didn't know that he had 3 months of not hearing back, and we'd already started filming when he started.
Yeah,
Again,
exactly.
one of the most talented guys I've ever met. His Instagram is incredible as well. Like you said, he's still got the artistic flair, so it's very cool to check out as well. And please pay attention for the game that he has just created, because I cannot wait to learn exactly what it is.
No, exactly. I mean, well, do you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's working on the video game.
What? What was?
You didn't get it?
Oh, thanks
But
very
my
much.
webcam freeze. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, never mind. You heard it. I'm sure everyone at home heard it. I'm not going to repeat myself. Anyway, yeah, as we said at the start of the show, for giggles and everything like that, don't forget to ask your Alexa, your OK Google, your Siri, whatever it is, Bixby or anything like that, to say play the Double Trouble podcast, because it will make it a hell of a lot easier to find us, or even better, just click subscribe. Oh, and tell your mates as well.
There you go. Guys, again, thank you so much for all your positive and amazing feedback during the last couple of weeks. We've had such great fun doing them. Next week, I know you guys are going to have a great listen to that one too. Until then, stay safe. Keep going with whatever you're doing. Keep the positivity. And thank you so much. If you have any input that you'd like to send our way, please get in touch on this via Twitter. I am at James_Phelps. Because someone already had at James Phelps, unfortunately. But Oliver got the at Oliver Phelps, correct?
Yes, that's right. Early bird catches the worm with that one. So, guys, anything you want to tell us, let us know who you think James looks like this week.
This week I was told I look like one of the wildlings from Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
Which I'll say as a compliment. They're kind of they're cool, right?
Yes, very, very cool. All right. Well, from James's and myself,
we'll say cheerio and see you next week.